right. Hey, guys. Welcome to another episode of KickSaga, where I interview a first-time board game designer about what they've done to prepare their game to launch on Kickstarter. And today I'm super excited to have two for the price of one. This is a project I've been following for the last 6 months or so, and it's been great to see all the wheels come, all the puzzle pieces fit into place, and all the wheels start moving, and getting this thing up to the Kickstarter launch, which is probably happening either the day after or the day of the launch of this video. So I'm super excited to have Nicolas and Devon on. Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey, how you doing?
2 thumbs up.
Excellent. Yeah. And they're here to talk about Nicolas's game, which is Megapulse. And it's a racing game. It's a futuristic Wipeout Mario Kart-esque racing game that I've had the pleasure of playtesting on Tabletop Simulator, and it was a lot of fun. So I'm excited for this one. I'm a fan as well. So thanks for being here, guys. We'll dig into why I have both of you here in a second, but let me ask you, Nicolas, about the game itself and kind of your, first of all, just a brief little bit about your background and what got you into wanting to design this game, and then why you designed it.
Yeah. So, Megapulse is a futuristic racing game, like you said, and it's definitely inspired by Wipeout, F-Zero, and Mario Kart, those kind of games. Yeah. So you'll be shooting each other, placing bombs behind you, colliding with each other. There's these boosts on the track you're trying to get to move faster, or repair, or even charge nitro. So it's very dynamic, very action-packed, and it's got some simultaneous action selection, some hand building as well, and a modular track. So very, very fun experience, very light as well. So it's like a strategic racing game, we call it.
Yeah, cool. So why did you decide to put yourself through the agony of designing and launching a game all on your own?
Yeah. So actually, my friends pushed me to do it. So initially, I created a prototype, and it was just one of many for me. So I was just doing some tests and trying some ideas out. And this is the game that stuck to people's mind, and they kept asking me to play it, even after a few months of playing it. So from that moment, I knew that something hooked them, something piqued their interest. And I had to keep working on this idea because everyone who played the game kept talking about the game afterward. So I know I captured something there. And it's only when I got I made the link between the game and this Wipeout, F-Zero, Mario Kart, or even those Hot Wheels or little cars you've been playing as a kid. I knew that was what people felt when playing game. Emulating those memories was the goal here.
Awesome. I love that you kind of started with a feeling and you wanted to capture that feeling in the game. Mm-hmm. And I think I wish more designers would do that, because that's the ultimate thing, right? You want someone to feel the excitement or feel like they're in a certain thing or feel like they're part of the theme. And I feel like you've captured that really well in this game. So that's very cool. So let's, this is not a game design podcast. So let's fast forward to very recently, when you're thinking, you're getting all the pieces in place to actually get this launched on Kickstarter. And then our friend Devon here comes in the picture. From what I understand about kind of the history of this is, Devon, you're just a super fan of this game, and you've kind of joined forces with Nicolas to kind of help promote it and help push it out. So why don't you talk a little bit about how you came to know Megapulse and how you joined forces with Nicolas?
Yeah, actually, it's a funny story because, we're all game designers here. So I met Nicolas through designing my own game, and, he play tested my game, and then boom, he was like, hey, I have a game too. So of course I'm going to try to play test his as well. Instantly fell in love with the game. And I was like, there's something here. I pushed my game off and I was like, let me help you, because I want to see this thing go to Kickstarter and blow up on Kickstarter. And so ever since that moment, we kind of connected, and I kind of pushed him a little bit. I was like, hey, let me help you. The whole time it was just volunteering, so I just wanted to help as much as I could. That's how we are here.
Yeah. And that's great, because, when you're, I can imagine, I'm not to this point yet, but I can imagine when you've got this game and you're getting ready to launch it on Kickstarter, there's so many different things you have to be thinking about with the game. but then also you have to be getting the word out there and getting people excited about it. And sometimes your head is too much in the weeds of the game, thinking about getting it manufactured and all the components and play testing and is everything good, that it's hard to think about that other stuff. And it's great to have someone kind of your right hand man or whatever to be able to kind of take care of that stuff and, like you said, push them in the right direction.
Yeah.
And I think that's a gregreat example, and I hope to see lots of other duos out there that help each other out. Where you're thinking about launching a game, so you'll do that later on, but you'll help someone who's getting ready to launch it now. And if everyone in the community could kind of do that trade off and back and forth, I think we'd all be better for it. So kudos to you for that. And it's been fun to watch. So let's talk a little bit about creating the game. So who else has been involved in the creation, as far as like from illustration or graphic design or maybe development? Has it just all been you, Nicholas, or have you enlisted the help of others?
So initially I created a game alone, but then just after the first version, I started to work with Samuel Desjardins, which is a friend of mine, and he just helped me like go through the initial playtesting phase, trying to find what the game was about, trying to find the right mechanics for the game. And once we nailed it, we unfortunately split apart in life. So I continued the journey alone. I hired some artists to do the hover car illustration, to do the cover art, the card illustration. The rest of it, the track and the graphic design itself, I did myself. Cool. But that's pretty much it. I have Devon helping me. I have other people who've been there along the way. So while doing the credits in the rule book at the end, I figured, I was like, hey, like 15 or 20 people helped on this game in the end. Like it was nice. Just a bunch of collaboration of a bunch of people.
Nice. What do you do as your day job, if you don't mind me asking? Is it graphic design related, or is that just something you kind of taught yourself?
Well, I used to be a graphic designer. Now I'm doing game design as a full time. Cool. So I work for a small indie studio in Montreal. So we do board games and video games as well.
Oh, nice. So that's some good experience to bring to the table then.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So a question I have that I always kind of wonder about is, when did, and it's different for everybody, so I'm curious what your answer to this is. When did you decide that this was ready to launch, and you were able to set a date, like this is the date I'm going to launch on Kickstarter?
Okay, so we developed the game for a few months, and then we showcased it in a small convention here in Montreal. And we were like, okay, maybe in 6 to 8 months, this would be ready, right? It looks like the game, it would be completed. And, well...
How long ago was that?
That was 2 years ago. Yeah. So 1 year after that, the game was starting to be completed. So the game was finished a year after that. We took some time to polish some systems or mechanics to really nail what we wanted with the game. There was one last system that bugged me for a while, so I kept working on that system. It took me about 8 months to find the right answer for that system. It was really a mess. But now, during that time, I didn't just do that. I kind of prepared the Kickstarter, prepared what we will do for the Kickstarter, right? And that took much longer than expected. And it's only... I've kept like giving myself some dates, like, oh, maybe next spring, oh, maybe next fall, or maybe, but I never made it public because of course it was just a guess. And yeah, good thing I didn't make it public, because I think I've delayed like 4 times in my personal schedule, right? Because right. It was my first project, and I'm not paid for it. It's in my free time, so I had the chance of trying to make it perfect in my vision, right? To make it fit my vision, right? Because once you get into a company and do it for salary, then you time is kind of a resource as well. So I'd say 2 months, 3 months ago that we set a date. Yeah, I think that was when we were ready. And even then, we postponed 2 weeks. We were supposed to launch on October 26th, and now it's November 9. because we found a way to make the game cheaper and offer the deluxe version for everyone. So it's a good way of postponing, but then again, it's not the initial thought.
So, Devon, when you jumped on board to help with the project, where was the marketing at that point, and where did you see like you could fit in to help push it forward?
Right. Well, yeah. So to begin with, of course, I looked at the Facebook page right away because that's where I'm on all day at work, and so I saw it, and it was going strong. I mean, he had posts out there, really high quality posts. But, the audience just wasn't there yet, and there was about, I think it was probably roughly 125 to 130 people in the group. And I was just like, okay, we can go way further than that, and that was about, how long ago were we talking? Like 5 months now, 6 months, something like that. A few months. Yeah. So from then we were able to get, now over 400 and an engaged community, and people are commenting. And so, basically all started with the Facebook page, and then we didn't yet have like a full-on email blast or anything yet, and so I took a look at that, and now I'm starting to send out emails and everything. So it took a little bit, but that was kind of the process. Is I just wanted to see where he was at to where we are now.
Mm-hmm. So what did you do to get more eyeballs on the Facebook page and increase engagement?
A lot of hustle, a lot of talking on Facebook all day, every day. I work the full-time job as well. And so people don't realize how much time you actually spend on the communication side and on the organic marketing side of things. And so I came in and I was like, hey, let's get people talking about this game. Let's give them, cars, hover cars. What do they like about it? And so in all these Facebook groups, I was chatting with other people about the game, and then also about other things, thus then talking with them in person to then leading them back to the game. And so it was kind of like a tree. You branch off one person and they tell 2 or 3, and that's all organic marketing is. So it's just a lot of hustle.
Yeah, it is. It takes a lot of time, but it also takes intention. And I think that's what I've seen from you is you're intentionally finding opportunities to talk about the game. And I find game designers have a hard time talking about their game, maybe because they spend so much time with it. They're like, no one wants to hear about it, or whatever. Yeah. And so they're kind of shy or scared to talk about it. And what I've seen from you, and I think it helps when an outside person comes in, is you love it so much you can't help but talk about it, and you want to talk about it everywhere. Yeah, exactly. and ask people about it. And that's the other thing I heard in there was asking questions. And I think that's something a lot of people miss, is they talk about their game, but they never ask people, what do you like about the game? What's your favorite character? What's your favorite thing? And that seems to help a lot as well. So, What do you have any background in marketing, or what's your background coming into this, Devon?
Yeah, so I'm a marketing specialist for my day job as well, and I used to be a graphic designer, and so that was kind of how we talked in the first place. Is we both knew graphic design and both knew the jargon, and then I was like, hey, I can help you on both levels. If you need some help with this, I can do a little bit of that as well. So yes, I have a background in graphic design, marketing, and then video production as well. So a little bit of everything sprinkled in there. So
good. I like how people take in their own, what their own skills into the game design process and the marketing process and all that stuff. And I think everybody has some kind of skill that they have that they can use when it comes to game design and promoting the design, whether it is video or social media or just writing good content, whatever it might be. Tap into that and then find someone, like this, who doesn't have that skill set to bring in, or who does have a skill set that you don't have to bring in to kind of help out with that stuff. So let's change focus to the Kickstarter page itself. I'm curious, from either of you, when you kind of started putting it together, and then how you have decided how to kind of piece it together and what sections to include and that kind of stuff.
So, I've been starting to think about it for more than a year and a half now.
Yeah.
Because it's been a first realization is one of the main one of the most important part is the page, right? if you want to get people to like your product. So a year and a half ago, I started to open Kickstarter, the hotness section, every single day, and checking out the different campaigns, what they do, what was their video, what's their, what do they have there, and are they succeeding? And by going in there every day, I could see like what worked, what didn't work. And of course, there's a lot of that due to the marketing and all that stuff. But I also acquired some personal taste and knowledge of how good Kickstarter pages are done, right? So I've been preparing mentally for a while.
Yeah.
But then actually doing it, the whole journey has been so much more crazier than I thought it would be. And going to Gen Con and going to SN as well has taken so much time and energy that I started way more late than I would have hoped to. So it was 2 weeks ago that I started to actually add something to the page and just start to pull up the graphics I made over the time and actually start to build the page. So it's something I wish I did sooner. And that, like, we're all learning here. So there was a bunch of things we learned during the process. So I think it's one thing I would do way sooner for the next project. And it's actually still in the works right now. So it's something it's almost done, right? So I expect like to be done very, very soon. But it's something that I wish I had finished a week ago or more.
So how did you decide what information was the most important that you wanted at the top? Because really you have, besides the video, and we'll get into that in a second, but like if someone scrolls down past the video, what's that one thing that you want them to see to keep them engaged?
Yeah, so I've been changing it a lot because I've been trying to figure out what others do. And usually it's there's 5 elements at the top. There's the logo of the game with the name. There's the display of what the game looks on the table, a key art that displays a strong sense of theme and energy, and then some kind of small introduction of what the game is. Next to that, you have somewhere the information of player count, time, and all that stuff. And now it's a matter of how you build those pieces together to fit into a single screen, right? So people can see all of it, then scroll down and see something else. And each game does it differently. And because of the limited art assets you have, we are board game, but a video game. So of course there's some limitations of what art we already have, what art we can do for the Kickstarter page. Because all of it costs money, right?
Right.
So some things felt right on paper, like, oh, we should see this and that. And then when I put it together, I figure out, visually it doesn't flow well. So I changed like 5 or 6 times to a point where I thought like, okay, this is a good visual story of like what the reader goes through. Took a while.
Nice. Yeah, that's good. I like everything you said, and that was very helpful to kind of walk through those first 5 items that you see are important. But really, at the end of the day, it's just going to Kickstarter a lot, looking at a lot of projects, seeing what you personally like, and maybe what does well on Kickstarter, and then crafting your game's story in that framework that you think will do best.
Exactly.
Cool. So the video, right? That's important. That's going to be something that someone sees right away. And there's always different competing ideas on how long the video should be. Should it start with a story or should it get right to gameplay? What were your thoughts on the video that you ended up creating?
My first thought was, oh my God, how am I going to do this? Because I've watched so many of these videos, and many of them are like a deep male voice explaining some stuff over a bunch of artwork and cool animations and some high budget 3D renders and videos and all that stuff in Blender.
Right.
And I've tried to learn Blender for this. I've learned how to do these animations, all that stuff. It's a bunch of work. It's something something I wish I knew or I learned back in college or something like that.
Right.
But then I watched the Veiled Fate video of Ivy Studio, and it was just them sitting around the game, talking about it and showing footage of people enjoying, having fun, the expression of the smiles, the excitement in their faces. And that felt really compelling to me, seeing people actually having fun and not some artificial, voice over some kind of artwork. So what I ended up working on is some kind of in between. We have Brendan Omi from Tangerine Games, who did an amazing job at showcasing the game. I sent him a prototype, and he's been doing some footage. It's just awesome. You got to see what he's doing. We shared it on the Facebook group.
Yeah, I'll put a link to that video in the show notes. I checked it out, and it's very cool.
You saw it? Yeah. I think it's pretty cool, and I think I'll mix that. I'll just have that to showcase the game, and then have me explaining what the game is about, because I want it to be genuine. It's my first Kickstarter that I'll do alone, and I genuinely want to connect with people. So I think I'll just connect them in a more direct way this way.
So Nicolas, really quick, you talked about you had to delay the Kickstarter a couple of weeks because of you might have found a better way to get the game created. Who did you end up going with, or have you decided who you're going to go with for the manufacturing, and what kind of part of the process made you kind of have to rethink things a little bit?
So we actually, out of curiosity, we did some extra quotes, asked for some quotes on with other manufacturers, and we realized how different it can be on different things, right? So some manufacturers that I worked with in the past at my day job had the lowest prices, and I was like, okay, I'm going to contact them again, see what happens. And turns out they might have the lowest prices on the project I was working on then, but on the miniature side, maybe they have a very high cost. And then some other companies will have a very low cost on miniatures, but very high cost on something else. So by doing some research, I showed the Devon some of the crafts I made. We have a bunch of data we analyzed.
You don't want to see it.
To kind of find the right fit. And so we found a way to make the game cheaper by just finding the right partners, and also trying to tweak what we realized cost more in the game without bringing anything new to the table, or without enhancing the quality of the game. So we ended up with 3 different manufacturers we're considering. They have very similar prices, so they don't really affect our funding goal. But it's still things we can, for the expansion and all that stuff, we can still try to figure out like who in the long run will be the best partner. We have Magicraft, we have Hopes, and we have Whatz Games. What with a Z at the end? Whatz Games.
Right.
So that's the 3 manufacturers that had the overall best prices, and also it helps when the manufacturer includes the FOB and the paletting and all that stuff into their quote. It gives you a better idea, because sometimes that can be a surprise you don't want to have at the end.
Right. Speaking of cost, how did you kind of settle on, or even have you yet settle on the funding goals and what you're going to include in stretch goals and all of that stuff?
Yeah, so we actually have I have the book of Gabe Barrett about the Kickstarter tips and tricks. It's been very useful, because there's an interview in there where the guest covers like very, very detailed explanation how to calculate your funding goal correctly. So there's a bunch of costs that some people don't take account of. So yes, you have the production of the games, but then you have some dropped backers that will, for some reason or not pay their pledges, and that will make you lose money. Then you have some kind of buffer for all these different prices that can fluctuate. Backer kit will take a fee. Kickstarter will take a fee, and all this stuff combined with the shipping of the game from the port to their fulfillment centers. That's all things that you need to take into account. That makes your funding goal very different than what you would have if you just calculate the cost of the games, which makes it different between someone going broke doing Kickstarter and someone being prepared. So that's something I was making sure to stay informed on, because it was something I didn't want to mess up. And then for what we include in these stretch goals and expansions and the base game and all that stuff, that's something that we designed and playtested and kept up to date during all these years. It's something that was really just fun to play around with, new ideas and all that stuff. And now it just came to, we just had to decide what goes into what box and categorize the stuff, make every expansion fun. and just divide them accordingly to when we can afford them, because we want to give them to people. We just have to wait when we have the correct amount of money to print it. That's about it. Yeah.
And then, I saw Devon involve the community again, right? Asking what expansion, of these choices do you want to see in the game? Were you able to use that feedback to kind of inform your decision about what's going to end up in the final product?
Yeah. So funny enough, we have been asking those kind of questions in the playtest for a while now. And so many people have, so many great ideas that we're excited to give them into these expansions, not the base game, because we have to keep some kind of tight and neat experience in that base box. Right. But in the expansions, we can go crazy. And most of these ideas in the post that Devon posted were like, oh, yeah, we know that's coming. Yeah, things we already thought about, and we are excited to see that that's what people want. So it's just a confirmation that it's right for the game. And then some new ideas that were like, okay, that's fun. Doesn't add so much cost. It would be easy to do. So there's a few ideas made it in there, definitely. And then some of them were just too crazy, like last minute like that. We can't.
Yeah. That's the thing when you ask the public what they want. Sometimes they'll just throw crazy stuff out there, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
You're like, okay, thanks for the suggestion.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, guys, let's talk numbers. Curious to see, how many follows you have on all the different platforms. It's good for people to understand, at what level you need a following in order to get certain results on Kickstarter. So we could start with Kickstarter. How many kind of pre-campaign followers do you have there? And then talk just really quick about how you got people to the Kickstarter page.
So right now we're actually at 738 followers.
Nice.
And the crazy part about that is the Kickstarter page wasn't up until
3 weeks ago. 2 or 3
weeks. 2 weeks ago. And so now, boom, we got all that. So that's where we're at for numbers there. And again, that's just pushing it out to the community, engagement, going back, doing all that loop again, and then getting people sent out. And then through the email marketing as well. I'm going to go pretty hard this next week for launch. So hopefully we can get that up.
Yeah, you've still got about a week left, right? So so folks will be listening to this once you guys launch, but you guys still have a little bit of buffer after these numbers. How about social? What social platforms is the game on, and how many folks you got following there?
Yeah, so basically the main one right now is Facebook, and we're at 449, 448, I believe, right now.
Is that a group or a page?
Yep, that's a Facebook group.
Cool.
But I believe you do have a page as well, but right?
I have a page for the company and a group for the game. So I post some updates on the company page of the big stuff and some links, and it always links to the group. And then the group is where we do all of our updates and keep engaging the fans. And we are technically on Twitter and Instagram. That's something that I should keep up with, but it's so many things to think about it. And that's where we got the less engagement from. So I know that we if we build that the audience right, we could have more engagement. But it's something we focus on Facebook because we're short on time.
And the Facebook groups alone are just very amazing. That is the target market. Mainly. So. It's really nice.
Yeah, it's easy to spread yourself too thin. And so I like the approach. You just focus on one platform and really build it up and really have a strong presence there. And then, you get Twitter followers down the road or whatever.
Exactly. Yep.
How about email?
Before we go into email, I just want to say that when I talked with Devon initially, I was like, okay, let's launch this in 3 months. I think it was about 3 months that I told him.
3 months.
And we were at 50 or 80 emails, and he's been doing all this work, and that's only 3 months of organic marketing. So I know we'll talk about it later, but we mainly just did posts on Facebook groups, playtesting, and trying to talk to folks about the game.
It's great.
Go ahead.
So
so and I'll also add that if I was to start with him with this set, we're at 758 right now. Okay. So that was in 3 months.
Yeah.
I just I can't imagine if it were 2 years in the making of starting from scratch, and so that's something, it's a learning experience. We're going to learn that from this campaign and then go into the next thing and just boom, explode even more. So,
yeah.
So and that's something for the listeners lesson to take is, start email, start gathering those emails as soon as possible.
As soon as possible. We had like 100 playtests before we said, hey, we have an email list. Are you interested in following the game? That's a lot of people that we lost in the, in time, and that we'll never see again. But cool thing is we aimed for 500 emails before launching, and now we had 750. So we're over what we wanted, which is cool because initially we were afraid we wouldn't make it in time.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Anything else like Board Game Geek or any other kind of platform you've been trying to get followers on?
Yeah, we're on Board Game Geek. We don't. I don't use Board Game Geek that much. I've discovered recently. I discovered it a long time ago, but I discovered it's many used recently, like the forums and all that stuff. People talking in there. So we've been answering questions to people asking us a bunch of stuff in the forums. But we've mainly used it just to have some reviews and ratings. Right. So we're currently at 36 ratings, and at 30 ratings, that's where the number shows up on your page.
Nice.
So that's what we wanted before the Kickstarter, to have the rating appear, and that's a 9.0 out of 10 right now. So that's a good rating to have.
Awesome. So, that's cool. And speaking of reviews, what has your approach been to that? What have you thought about when you're trying to reach out to people for reviews? How many prototypes did you send out? That kind of thing.
So the first thing is I had the brilliant idea, sarcastically, to create my own prototypes. So I wanted to do everything myself because I saw Eric Geller do that for Quest and Cannons. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm going to do some laser cutting. I'm going to do that stuff. And turns out it's a lot of efforts, a lot of time, and also a lot of money. So it costed way more than I expected to do these prototypes of Megapulse. Wow. We planned to do a bunch of them. We did less than expected because of all these constraints. And because of that, all the budget for these reviews went into the prototypes. And I was like, now I have prototypes, but I don't have money to send for reviews. So Devon has been very lucky. He's been in contact with Devon Norris from Quokolope.
I don't know.
And
well,
he contacted Devon, and he's been lucky enough to get an answer and an interest in playtesting the game from Devon Norris. And then Devon said, "Oh, I like this game," and we talked about getting on Board Game Co. and Quokolope. And from there, Devon Norris talked to Alex, and now Alex, I sent him a game. I met Jesse at Gen Con. And basically, we've been talking, and Alex has done a review. I think the review went up 2 days ago.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's been very, very fun because they do honest reviews, which I prefer personally to preview. Yeah. Previews, you pay them, and they give you like something that just makes the game shine. But I like the consumers to have an informed decision.
Realistic.
Yeah. So I like anything that doesn't have any negative points. I feel like it's a bit shady. Like I know they have some negative points, just given to me, and I can make my decision, right?
Totally.
So Quokolope and Board Game Geek don't do that. Don't do previews. So it's been fun to just have them give their honest opinion, and then we contacted some others, and it's all come to budget issues of everything costs so much more than expected in the preparation part of the Kickstarter.
Time as well.
Yeah, and time. So we have to choose because I could get more money if I work more, but I can't work more because I'm working on this project and I have to take days off at my day job. Yeah. So it's it's time and money just juggling with them. So we've wanted to go with Rado runs through, and also Meeple University contacted us. All these great opportunities we couldn't get. Though we have a Legion of Games that we'll do review soon. So hopefully we'll have some more coverage. And,
If you had to do it all over again, and were able to kind of set some money aside from like other things to just focus on reviews, what would you say like for folks who are getting ready to do that same part of the process, or are thinking about how to budget for it? What would you say kind of a realistic, ideal kind of amount of money would be to have ready for reviews to do it properly?
Just for the reviews, I'd say if you're going with the big channels, you're probably looking at $1,200 per review.
Yeah, I was gonna say $2,000 or less.
Yeah. So between 800 and 1500, and even for the biggest channels, will to up to 2K for one video. And that depends, because you can do a walkthrough, you can do a how to play, you can do an overview, and these all cost different amounts of money. And then for the prototype, depends on your game. For me personally, I think and I only did 4 copies of Megapulse. 4 copies. And one of them, I needed it to go to Gen Con in Essen and present to people. And the other one, I needed to keep it fresh to take photos and pictures for the Kickstarter. So we only had 2 copies to send. And this cost us around 6K to make these 4 copies.
Wow.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
So folks who haven't seen the game yet, it does have very high quality components, right? You guys have talked about the triple layered player boards, and you've got miniatures that represent the racers that go around the track, and you got lots of different track tiles and stuff. So there's a lot involved. People think, oh, it's just a racing game, right? What could how much could go into it? But it looks like you've really concentrated on getting high quality components for all these pieces, and that looks like that can add up.
Yeah, definitely. So it's a game with modular track, right? So you have 32 track tiles. That alone is very heavy. Takes a lot of cardboard. We have miniatures, for the hover cars and for the bombs, and then these triple layer boards, as you said. Right. So all of that sums up, and we have something that it adds up. Sorry. And at the end we have something that we reached a very honest and fair price point for people, but when you're doing just a few copies yourself, this is the things that add up a lot.
Right. So if you had to the same question again, if you had to do it all over again, what would you change about that process of creating prototypes?
So I think I would do most of the things I do the same. So in terms of cost, it cost me a lot, but I learned what to buy and what not to buy. With the shipping crisis, all that stuff. If I made a few things. Okay, there was a few things that cost in total 3 items. Let's pick the 3 most expensive items on my list. Together, they cost 150. With shipping, they cost me 500. The shipping cost was alone double or triple the price of the items.
That's insane.
And that was insane. So I think in the future, I'd take more time to find another solution, because it maybe was not the most responsible. I was short on time. I had to order something.
Yeah.
So look more for components, and also maybe stock them, order a bunch to make it worth the shipping, and then just keep them for future prototypes. But the main thing was didn't want to go with Game Crafter for the punch boards, because we had a bunch of different patterns for the racetrack, and so I'm glad I did it with laser cutting. It took a bunch of effort, but all these little pieces, all the tokens, the frenzy tokens, the health tokens, all those little pieces were so frustrating to laser cut and have them not so offset, to clean the soot out of them after, because it gets all around the pieces. And it's been a pain to do them. So these small pieces, I would definitely have gone with the Game Crafter. And then the big pieces, the big things, I would do with laser cutting. Cool. Some things I learned.
Yeah, exactly. I think a big lesson from all of this is, however long you think something is going to take, or however long you think you need to prepare for something, just double it at least.
Yeah.
Cool. So as we wrap up here, I'd love to hear from both of you kind of what is the plan after launch. As the Kickstarter's going, there's that mid-campaign slump everybody talks about. What are you guys planning for to happen during the campaign?
Yeah, so I could maybe answer that, because we have a bunch of fun stretch goals. So we're trying to make the Kickstarter page feel like a game, just have people play with us. So the stretch goal, for example, is a track that goes down, and you have this little racer, and sometimes the track splits in two, and you can choose which path you want to take, and that will unlock different rewards. So the people can vote on if they want that expansion or that expansion, this add-on or this add-on. So this is a fun part. But then for the social stretch goals, we had a bunch of fun with those. We will have people be involved a lot, and we have a tournament in there that will have people of the community play on TTS against each other in a total face-off big tournament, and then there's some rewards directly tied to the game, depending on who wins and what team wins, all that stuff. So it will be fun to see people encouraging the teams they love, participating in these little games, because that's one of them. But we have, I think, three big games people can play during the campaign with us. Nice. So hopefully that will make people stay engaged during this middle stump. We also have some podcasts and some videos coming up at that time to help.
Yeah, one thing I'm going to say is it's all about, I mean, without backers, the game's not going to fun, right? And so we need to incorporate backers' feedback. We need to talk with you. We need to engage all over the place. You know, be genuine about it. Don't like push sell the game. You know, consistently ask people, okay, cool. This is what we're doing right now. We gave them two options. You know, you can go down this side or this side. Do you want to vote? Like, this is all about you, the backer. So, like, you know, we wanted to make sure we could get conversations going and engaged and go to the posts and like, share, do all those fun things without having to be like, hey, share this now, you know, like, share. It's all just organic again. You know, it's all about being genuine and talking with people and getting to hear their thoughts.
So. I think, you know, probably the biggest source of new backers during the campaign is previous backers, right? And they're going to be out there talking about it and getting people involved. And so as much as you can facilitate that, and it sounds like that's what you guys are thinking about, and getting them involved and continuing to be involved in the process, the better.
Exactly.
All right, cool. Well, that's all the time we have. You know, before we leave, I'd love, Devon, I'd love you to tell the viewers why they should back Megapulse.
Oh gosh, no pressure, right? Well, honestly, I don't like racing games. I'm going to put it out there. I like Mario Kart, but I personally don't like Tron. I've never played Wipeout, but I played this game and I was just like, okay, racing is awesome. Like, this is so cool. And I mean, I love colors and, you know, all that stuff. And so as soon as I played and actually dealt with cards instead of dice, I was like, okay, we have something here. Because I was like, oh, this is just, you know, it's just a game. It's not going to be that great, right? No, I was wrong. So honestly, the mechanisms just drive this game home. Did it again. And yeah, so like, he knows what he's doing, and I'm super excited for this game because I'm seeing behind the scenes, and I can tell you right now, you guys are going to want to back it. So as much as I do. So yeah.
Awesome. I love it. There's no better testimonial than someone who's just become a believer by playing it and being super excited about it. Exactly. Cool. So that's Megapulse, guys. Check it out. It's launching on Kickstarter on November 9th. And probably by the time you're watching this video, it will be live. Go check it out. And if it seems like something you'll like, back it. And then join us in about a month or so. We'll have these guys back after the Kickstarter to talk about how it went, some lessons they learned during the process, and you know, learn along with them, because this is their first time. Everybody in this series, it's going to be their first time, so we're all learning together. So thanks, guys. Good luck. I'm super excited to see how it goes, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.